Good evening. We would like to welcome those here tonight at the Slyman Theater, downtown New Iberia, to our forum for candidates seeking the office of Louisiana House of Representatives, District 48 and 49. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the Great Iberia Chamber of Commerce, Iberia Comprehensive Community Health Center, and Leadership Iberia. There are a few announcements before we begin this evening's program. Our sponsors wish to remind you that tonight's program is purely informational. Neither the Chamber, Iberia Comprehensive Community Health Center, nor the Leadership Iberia program endorse any particular candidates running for office. The last date of register to vote for the October 14th primary, in person or by mail, is September 13th. Online registration deadline is September 23rd. Early voting runs from September 30th, 2023 through October 7th, 2023, and our election day is on October 14th. Also, the Chamber is posting the forums to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/goodnewsnewiberia, and to the Chamber's Facebook page at Iberia Chamber. I would now like to introduce you to our moderator for this evening's forum. Michelle Mesh is a leadership alumni of Class 22.
Thank you, Thomas. At this time, I would like to introduce the candidates. All candidates in the race were invited to participate. Those in attendance tonight are, in the race for Louisiana House of Representatives, District 48, Mr. Beau Boyer. In the race for Louisiana House of Representatives, in District 49, Sanders Sandy DeReese, David Eaton, and Jacob Landry. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening statement. We will then ask a series of questions, which each candidate will have 120 seconds to answer, unless otherwise noted. Each candidate has also been given 2 rebuttal cards that they can use to take 60 seconds to comment on something the other candidate said during their answer. Those candidates wishing to use a rebuttal card will hold up their card after the other candidate finishes their answer to that question, and when recognized, will get 1 minute to offer their additional thoughts. However, the candidates should be selective about when they use their cards, because when their rebuttals have been used, that's it. If the candidate wants to use his rebuttal card, he should just hold it up so that we can see it. Candidates, do you see your rebuttal cards?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To assist the candidates in keeping time, we have a timekeeper and time limits. They're situated down here in front. Candidates, when your time begins, the green light will come on. When you have 50 seconds left, the yellow light will come on. And when your time is up, the red light will come on. At that time, you must finish your sentence. If that takes more than a few seconds, the buzzer's going to sound to let you know that you must stop. There we go. Got that? All right. Due to the limits of time and to maintain a fair atmosphere, we ask that the audience hold any applause or other comment until later. All the questions I will ask tonight were predetermined. Questions were solicited from the public, and then an unbiased committee reviewed the questions submitted and came up with those that are to be asked tonight. All questions have been kept in strict confidence, and no one except the committee members and myself have seen them. At this time, we're going to start with opening statements. We have the candidates sitting in alphabetical order by last name, as well as seating in the district that they are running for. District candidates 48 and 49 sitting together. After our question portion of the program, you will have closing remarks, starting in the reverse order. You'll have 60 seconds for your closing remarks. We will start the opening statements with Mr. Boyer, and we'll continue to the left. Go ahead.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. We appreciate this gathering. Thank you for all of you who are coming here this evening. My name is Beau Boyer. I'm the current state representative for District 48. I was born here in Iberia Parish on the banks of the Bayou Teche. My parents, Mary and Buster, are here with me today. I've raised my 4 kids with my beautiful wife, Casey, who's here as well on the banks of the Teche. Run my business here, and I've been a staunch advocate for everything about Iberia Parish and about Acadiana. If you want to look at how I'm going to be as your state representative over the next 4 years, you can look at the push card that I campaigned with 4 years ago. It was a good lead-in to the legislator that I would become. I have fought for small businesses and passed legislation to get the government out of their way. I fought to lower and pass legislation to lower your income taxes. Proud to say Louisiana now has the lowest income taxes in all of the southern U.S. of those that have taxes. I fought for the unborn and passed legislation for adoption and foster families. I've fought for the Second Amendment. I fought to spend our money wisely on infrastructure projects. I'm proud to say that right now in Iberia Parish and around District 48, we have more money than ever that's being spent on roads, bridges, airports, ports, water, and sewer than probably collectively any 3 decades combined. And we're just getting started. So I look forward to y'all's questions.
Mr. DeReese.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandy Darius, from Jeanerette, Louisiana. Went to school in New Iberia. I first want to, before I get into that, wanted to thank the Chamber for all this great event. I'd also like to thank everyone here. I think we got a bunch of good candidates that's very viable and going to represent our area well and trying for everybody to do the right thing. My name is Sandy Darius, once again, from New Iberia, Louisiana. Guys, I went to school here. After school, I became a paramedic for Acadian Ambulance, where I worked 7 years, 5 years on the ambulance, 1 year offshore, and 1 year on AirMed. After that, got very involved in safety world, went back to school, got a degree, and got on with Superior Energy Services. At Superior, I was there for 14 years. I was in charge, I was a vice president of safety for about 1,000 employees. We had 53 lift boats. Very proud of those accomplishments. After that, I moved into another division of Superior, where I've been for the last 6 years. I was in charge of sales for Louisiana. Stable Drill is a company that we sell and rent drilling tools to offshore companies. So that's my civic side of it. I very much am involved with the Gumbo Cook-Off, CCA, and also Youngsville leadership. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Eaton.
Yes, thank you. My name is David Eaton. I grew up in Youngsville on Piat Road, right there on the border of Iberia Parish. So I'm almost in Iberia, but not quite. I'm still Lafayette Parish. But I appreciate the Chamber having this event tonight and for us to come in front of all of you and present our cases. The first thing that I want to say is my campaign from the beginning has been about faith, family, in Louisiana. Because I believe that first off, we have to have faith. It's our faith in God that gets us through each day. It's our faith in God that leads us and guides us. And then it's our families. You know, family is important to me. Growing up, we didn't have a whole lot of money, but we were taught hard work, and we were taught the importance of family because we didn't have much other than each other. And so our family is very important to us. And in Louisiana, our families are very important. Our families should be a great place to be. Our families shouldn't be worried about insurance rate heights, or they shouldn't be worried about coastal erosion or flooding. Our families shouldn't be worried about a job. Louisiana has to do better. We have to provide an atmosphere for businesses to succeed, develop infrastructure that our businesses can grow, and create a place that Louisiana families can thrive in. And last off, it's Louisiana. Louisiana itself is a gold mine. We sit on natural resources that are more abundant than just about any other state around us. We have so many resources. We're set up geographically in a great location, and there's no reason why 35,000 people a year should be leaving Louisiana. We have to do better, and we will do better, because Louisiana is a great state.
Thank you, Mr. Landry.
Good evening, everyone. It's always great to be in New Iberia. Just the other day, and I was in this iconic building with my father, where he shared childhood memories of watching movies of the Three Stooges in here. So it was great hearing those memories. You see, I lived here all my life. Started my family here, my wife, my high school sweetheart, Hannah, raising my 2 kids here, Jack and Jules. District 49 has so many things to fight for. One of those things is oil and gas. You see, oil and gas has been overregulated. Legacy lawsuits have basically killed it. It's killed its jobs and everything that it supports. I want to work with local municipalities, schools, to train our children so that they too can have careers and raise their family here. You see, I feel we have the best of everything. We have the best culture, we have the best people, we have the best values. I'm Jacob Landry, and I'm running for District 49 State Rep. I'd like you to follow me on jacoblandryforlouisiana.com, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for the questions. We'll start with Mr. DeReese, and we'll go this way. Question number 1. What about your education, experience, and background makes you the best qualified candidate?
Well, I think my education definitely helps. As a paramedic for 7 years, I've learned to deal with people in bad situations, good situations, and just all around. It built me to be definitely a better man. My qualifications, I was a councilman in 7 years in Jeanerette. It was a very tough area, very financially strapped. We did what we had to do with less money. I was in charge of the finance committee for 3 years, also in charge of the police department. We did what we had to do with little or no money. At the end of the day, we did what was right for the public. I'm the only one running for District 49 that has held a political seat, and I just want to do the right things for the right reasons, and I think that gives me the edge. Thank you.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes, so I was homeschooled, and actually through 3rd grade I went to Temple Baptist here in New Iberia, and then I was homeschooled. Once my parents had 3 kids in school, they couldn't afford it anymore, so they were forced to homeschool us, and I think that gave me an education and a look into the school system that other people don't have. And school is important to me. I choose to homeschool my kids. I remember when I was doing homework, my mom would turn on Rush Limbaugh and we'd listen to him, so I guess that makes me kind of a Rush baby, but I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh. And as I grew up, I learned the value of hard work. My dad didn't have a lot, but he taught us how to work hard. And he taught us that we should always do the right thing for others and give to others. And my family, my dad was a pastor, and he taught us how to give to others and how to be giving. And I think that's important for a representative, is to be giving for others, because it's not about me. It's not about what I'm going to do for this district. It's about what we're going to do for this district. And we have to get back to politics where everyone is involved, where it's a coalition of people, and where we have people that are involved and helping out, because I need help. We can't do it by ourselves. We have to have people that back us and people that let us know what they need, what they're feeling on a daily basis. Look, I've given a lot of people my phone and I've said, call me. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you feel. Let me know what you need, because it's important that we have those conversations. I was appointed to Bayou Vermilion District, and I know it's just a small aspect of what a state representative does, but we are a state governing body, and we clean and clear the Vermilion River in Lafayette Parish, and we also control Vermilionville. And in 1 year, we went from a $400,000 deficit to a $270,000 surplus without losing any of the services that we provided, and the river's clean and clearer than it's ever been. And it's important to me. We have to work together to build a coalition. We have to work together to work in the entire floodplain to build a plan that gets the water out, that stops coastal erosion, that stops all these things. And I'm a team builder, and so that's what gets me set up to be the best state representative.
Ms. Stephanie, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question so I hit on everything?
Absolutely. What about your education, experience, and background makes you the best qualified candidate?
You know, my education was in public school in Erath, Louisiana. I attended USL for 2 years, but the bulk of my education has been working hand in hand with people not only in my industry but in my community, solving problems, issues at hand, making sure that living in a coastal community, you always had to make sure you had a plan forward to where when you left, you knew what you were coming back to. In business, running a business with close to 300 employees, there's budgets. There's things you have to put in place to make sure that you, as an employer, as a coworker, are doing the right things for all parties involved. And I think one of the biggest things is sticking to a budget. If you can't stick to a budget, it's hard to keep a business open. And as a lot of us in this room knows, as an oil and gas business, you're planning to prepare for the downturn. So with that being said, I just think my experience through not only the community I live in, the businesses I'm in, but the people around me prepare me.
Thank you. Mr. Beaulier?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We can start with the education side of it, just from that background. I graduated from LSU in finance and got an MBA from UL. From that background, I'm normally pretty versed on the financial side of things, and that's where you find me, what I would say, doing some of my favorite work in the legislature. And it helps me be very prepared as vice chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, which is your tax writing committee, and the committee that works with capital outlay. Being a numbers guy comes in pretty handy. But professionally, we handle 401k plans, and we deal with thousands and thousands of employees all over the state, and really from Biloxi all the way to Houston. And so hearing what keeps those people up at night, hearing keep with their business owners, what keeps them up at night, hearing about the regulations that they're faced with, that's been my motivation, and has helped give me a good background and good sounding or standing ground from where I can serve best. And I listen, and I think that's probably one of the characteristics that I think has been most effective in the legislature. Not just listening to other colleagues, but listening to all of you. I've passed a number of bills that most of them aren't my idea. I mean, we had just locally, we passed a waste tire dumping bill that was from a constituent here in town. We passed a disposal of abandoned mobile homes bill that was from a constituent in town. A deal on brokerage accounts on how to transfer them after death came from a constituent in this area. These weren't my ideas; these were y'all's ideas. And so, listening to the people that I represent and bringing their voice to Baton Rouge, and not only being their voice, but effectively passing the legislation that they asked me to carry out. It's it's very important. But I think the thing that makes me most qualified is being a father of 4 children and wanting to create a Louisiana where they can have jobs here, stay here in Acadiana, and have raise their families and have prosperity in the future.
Thank you. The second question, it'll go to Mr. Eaton first. When businesses look to locate to a new area, they look for incentives. What is your philosophy on providing incentives to businesses?
Well, I think that what government's job is to create an environment for businesses to succeed. And what I mean about that is as low taxes as possible, as low regulations as possible, and as good as infrastructure as possible, as well as schools. Those things have to be provided by government. That's what we expect from our government. And when we have those things, businesses want to relocate here. Businesses don't want to relocate here because we have a personal income tax and a sales tax, the combined sales tax, that's one of the highest in the nations. So we have high sales tax. Our infrastructure is decaying and crumbling, and we've gotten more monies for that recently, and we're working on that, and it's going to be coming to fruition, and I'm thankful for that, and I'm glad to see that. But also we have to stop these burdensome regulations, licensing regulations. Government should be as limited and as small as possible, because it's important that our government creates an economy and it creates a place for businesses and for us to succeed in. Our government is not meant to give a handout to us. It's not meant to be a place where it helps unfairly some businesses than others. But a government is to give an even playing field for all businesses to succeed and not to pick winners and losers by giving special tax rates to certain businesses, and other businesses have to go. Mom and pop businesses and small ones a lot of times suffer because of big businesses that come in. Making an even playing field with as little tax as possible, because that's the important thing. Little tax as possible and living within our means. A state government that doesn't spend a lot of money, that doesn't waste money, that doesn't do what it's not supposed to do. Government is supposed to build a place for businesses to succeed in, and then stand back and let businesses succeed. and not overtax, not overspend, not overregulate. And I think that is what Louisiana needs, and that is what's going to make Louisiana a business-friendly and a business state that will move forward for years to come.
Mr. Landry?
Yes, I think as enticing businesses to come to Louisiana has a lot of things that we got to focus on. One being our tax structure. Our tax structure is one of the most strenuous tax structures to maneuver through in the United States. I think we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to prepare the canvas for businesses to locate here with schooling, making sure we have a vocational system that prepares the children and workforce to be able to handle the jobs that are brought here. You know, we did a great job this year lowering the severance tax. On another note, the biggest thing is regulation of big businesses. Businesses know what they need to do. They know how they need to operate. Government needs to get out of their way and allow them to be prosperous. We just need to assist with making sure the tax structure allows them to be able to streamline it. Whereas if you come into business in Louisiana, you may operate in so many different parishes. Well, you pay in taxes in all those different parishes. We need to streamline that to where businesses aren't burdened by coming into the state where they have to operate in so many different parishes. But we need to form a plan to where they play into one source and then it funnels down there without local municipalities having to come and beg for their money back. But as a legislator, working with other legislators, passing laws to get rid of the red tape to come to Louisiana and allow businesses to prosper.
Thank you. Mr. Bollier?
Yes, ma'am. What the two gentlemen just said is correct. As far as what we need to create as a state from an infrastructure standpoint, an educational standpoint, it's not just one trick is going to get businesses here, but these incentives that you're referring to be real direct. They do come in handy. There's no doubt we are competing against other states when we're trying to attract businesses to Louisiana. I don't like the government picking winners and losers. One of my first bills was a resolution to create ITEP-ready parishes. And basically in ITEP-ready parishes was to allow a parish not to pick winners and losers, but if they made certain qualifications on the state level, that everybody got it. That you couldn't pick and choose who got the ITEP and who didn't if you met the qualifications to get the ITEP. And so I ran on that before. First legislation was to keep the government out of picking the winners and losers. But I'll say when you have big manufacturers that are coming into town, similar to the ones that have been announced here in Iberia Parish, you're not going to be able to create the infrastructure and provide the infrastructure without some of these incentives. You take like a payment in lieu of taxes incentive to where you can actually get some money up front from the business and have the gas and sewer and water and all that infrastructure put in place. If you don't have some of those tools, the manufacturers aren't coming here. The big employers aren't coming here. Do I like them? Not really, but at this point in our current tax climate in Louisiana, it's one of the only things that we have in our bag to be able to pull out and attract these businesses. So kind of a necessary evil is a good description, but they come in handy at the last minute when you're trying to put deals together and bring businesses to the town, to Iberia Parish, like we've seen happen in the multiple businesses that are looking at Iberia Parish.
Thank you. Mr. DeReese?
Thank you. Well, we beat this dead horse. First off, three things. I think, number one, our tax structure, as everyone said, is horrible. Take Cheney Lumber down the road. If they go to sell some lumber in another area, they got to pay a tax code to Iberia Parish. They got to pay one for Lafayette. They got to pay one for Lafourche Parish. It's way over cumbersome. It stops new businesses from coming in our area. Second is communication. Just with local government, I see it all the time. I see businesses. Youngsville's a thriving community and everybody wants to be there. I see so much red tape. I see so much things that we can make simpler. As David said earlier, just getting out of the day-to-day business, keeping it simple, smaller government, and let our businesses do what they need to do. And thirdly, our teaching system. We got to educate our kids. We have to make sure that our kids are taken care of and educated. People don't want to locate here a lot of times because of our education. They look online, they see what our school's rating is tough. We have to help our teachers be the backbone of our society, pay them what they deserve, and uncuff their hands and let them do what they need to do.
Thank you. Question number, excuse me, question number 3, we'll start with you, Mr. Landry. What are the top things you would do to attract business to Louisiana?
Well, first on my list would be showing them that we do have the workforce for them to locate here. That's what investing into our local vocational schools and making sure they have what they need to prepare the workforce for the companies to come here. Making sure that they have the infrastructure to locate here. And on the third one, making sure that we're giving them all the tools with the local municipalities to actually entice them to come here and stay and hire and employ people to grow our economy.
Okay, Mr. Bollier?
Thank you. Make no mistake, it's all about jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs. More jobs solves just about all the difficulties that we have in this community. We can fund our schools better with more jobs. We can fund our parish and our city governments better with more jobs. And so we have to do everything that we can to continue attracting them. Right now in Iberia Parish, we have almost, in Iberia Parish, and if you include the Safe Source project in the Broussard area, over 3,000 jobs that are either in the works or have been planned in the last couple of years. So we have a boom with employment that's around the corner. But I think in order to continue that momentum, there are certain things we have to tackle. One thing, the franchise tax is a tax that unfairly treats businesses based on the valuation of their company. We passed legislation this year to get rid of the franchise tax. It was vetoed. We need to bring that back up. We need to get rid of the franchise tax. It's low-hanging fruit that makes us not competitive with other states. We have to do a better job on our personal income and our corporate income at lowering and flattening the tax code as much as possible to make it simple to comply with. Businesses look at that when locating into different areas, and if you don't think that's true, you're blind, because all the states that have the largest increase in jobs and state revenue is all coming from those low-tax states. It's possible to lower rates and increase revenue when you attract more business, and it's that simple. And if somehow or another we don't solve the insurance crisis we have, we're in a bind. And there's a crisis all over the country, but particularly in South Louisiana, we have a three-tiered problem on property insurance, auto insurance, and health insurance. If you look at I don't have to tell you all, if you look at all of y'all's checkbooks every month and what you're paying on the three of them, we have to get that under control.
Thank you. Mr. DeReese?
Thank you so much. First off, to bring new jobs, you got to look at the education system once again. Talked about our teachers. We have to uncuff them. We have to let them do what they do every day and teach our students. It's the only way you're going to get people to move and bring new businesses here. Another thing that's killed our economy in Louisiana is our frivolous lawsuits in our oil and gas world. I'm in the drilling business every day. I see oil and gas jobs. I track it. It's what I do. Right now, south of I-10, there's 4 drilling jobs. If you look back 5-6 years, you probably had 100 jobs. That just takes away from the sheer number in South Louisiana, and it hurts us every day. We have to be more friendly. I think with the new governor, hopefully we got coming, we can move in the right direction and help our coastal areas flourish. And last but not least, for sure, security. When companies want to come here, they got to know that their families and their businesses are protected. We got to support our policemen. We have to support our parishes and make sure that they're taken care of, their property's taken care of, and their people, their most prized possession, and that they're taken care of at the end of the day, every day.
Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
So I think we have to have a holistic approach as well to enticing businesses here. And the first way that we have to do that is taxes, because businesses look at their bottom dollar. So lowering the severance tax, lowering or eliminating the personal income tax as well, those things entice businesses to come here, and that's the start of it. But then also we have to have infrastructure. We have to have roads and bridges that they can drive their vehicles on. If they come to our roads and bridges and they're crumbling and they're falling apart and they have potholes everywhere, they're not going to want to build a business on there, because they're going to say my vehicles are going to fall apart. And especially if they go into some other states and they have a better infrastructure, a better tax system, they're not going to relocate here. Also schools. We talked about schools. Several people have talked about schools. I like a school voucher program. I believe that is the beginning of the conversation that we have on schools. It's easy to get. It's easy to start. We pay into the system. We should be able to choose where our kids go to school, public or private. Whatever that is, we should be able to choose where our kids go to school, and the money should follow the kids, because that's important. And that will entice people to come here for the businesses that would come. And also, I think we need tort reform. These lawsuits, frivolous lawsuits, they drive up insurance rates. They're not good for our economy, and businesses don't want to come here because they don't want to be sued over everything. And legacy lawsuits as well, because we can be as realistic as we can, and we can talk about all the other businesses and all the other things that we want to get here, industries that we want here. But our number one industry that we have to get back is oil. We have to have oil and gas here. Oil and gas is the lifeblood of Louisiana. Growing up, Highway 90 was booming, and I remember driving down Highway 90, and there were businesses everywhere. It seemed like they were growing, and I remember going offshore and seeing oil rigs everywhere. And now you go offshore and oil rigs are gone. Those jobs are gone. We have to have oil companies come back to Louisiana, drill again in Louisiana, and then we can start the process of getting businesses here. And so I think it's a holistic approach. It's not a one magic bullet, but it's a lot of things together that will build a climate that businesses can succeed in.
Thank you. For question number 4, we'll start out with Mr. Bollier. We're all experiencing higher insurance premiums for business, homes, and automobiles. What would you propose as a legislator to address these issues?
Yep, thank you. One thing to start with, just to kind of recap and let everyone know what we did this year on the homeowners insurance, because that, even though auto insurance is crazy, the homeowners insurance, I think, is the thing that's on everybody's mind the most from what I'm talking with people. We were able to inject $45 million into a fund to lure other insurance companies back to Louisiana. With that $45 million, these companies are supposed to put up another $45 million and then write twice that amount in premiums. These companies have started to come to Louisiana. They're starting to take policies off of citizens. The idea, what happened after Hurricane Katrina, is at the end of it, they became competitive with one another and they saw rates reduce. We haven't seen that. I'm cautiously optimistic that that's going to help us with our homeowners insurance, but we haven't seen any reduction yet. So I'm still getting calls with people who are shopping for insurance, and they're a lot lower than Citizens' prices are, but not nearly where they were before. So we still have to do some more on that, and we need to tighten our belts when it comes to legislation. A lot of times on the homeowners insurance, like there was a bill last session, I believe it was, that I did not support, that basically mandated that insurance companies provide evacuation costs when someone has an emergency declaration in an area. And that sounds all hunky-dory until these insurance companies have to underwrite it. They don't give it away for free. So we have to be careful when we put mandates on insurance companies that are going to cause our premiums to go up. We have to revisit, on the auto insurance side of things, we have to revisit the legal reforms we did 4 years ago. We lowered the jury trial threshold to $10,000. We changed the collateral source definition, which is how they use medical costs. You can't talk about insurance coverage in front of a jury anymore. But I think the main thing is we're probably going to have to relook at that collateral source definition and do some more digging on the tort reform, because from an auto insurance, those rates continue to go up. That was it shocked me.
We didn't shock him, I
You
promise.
shocked me too.
Mr. Terry.
First off, guys, I can tell you, walking door to door, it is the number one deal I get every day. Man, what about our homeowners? And I can tell you, my mom lives in a modest house in General, Louisiana. $150,000 house, and she's probably paying $4,000 a year for homeowners. It's ridiculous. We have to change something. I do like what Bo and them did, you know, and the legislator and our governors put $40 million in the pool to help this and attract other insurance companies to come into the state. The problem was that we're not going to see any relief for 18 months, maybe even 2 years. So it's a burden. We can't let ourselves get in the same situation. Three major things I wrote down that I think we need to do. First off, stricter building codes. If you look at Grand Isle, I mean, Grand Isle got hit by a Category 5 hurricane. If you look at the camps that were built newer and built to a certain code, those camps did well. The older camps that had no code, they're basically wiped off the map. And I think that goes with all our coastal parishes. So stricter building codes. Second off, make it almost impossible for these insurance companies to simply come in, give us some insurance for a little while, and leave whenever they want. They have to have some type of standard where we hold their feet to the fire. They have to pay their claim and can't come and go like they want. And the third thing is they need a certain type of law that we make sure that when they do have to pay a claim, they have a certain amount of time. I got friends down in Lafourche Parish. They got hit by Hurricane Ida. It's been 2 years. They're still living in FEMA trailers. It's ridiculous. It really is. We have to do something about it. We have to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that our laws are in place where insurance companies can't continuously just come and go. And that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Eaton?
So as far as insurance companies go, I don't know a whole lot about insurance. I'm not an insurance broker. But I do know that competition always leads to better pricing. And so I appreciate what Bo and the legislators did to set aside the money to try to get some competition in the insurance market. And that's really what we need. We need to have more insurers that are good and that give good policies and that have a contingency plan in place for when things happen, like Laura and Lake Charles and like down in Golden Meadow and those areas. I went to those areas after the hurricanes, and it's ridiculous. I mean, you can go in Lake Charles right now, and there's still blue tarps on houses. And you go down in Golden Meadow, and there's still problem areas down there because these insurance companies just left. And it's not fair to the people who paid the premiums and who did what they were supposed to do. Look, there's people, my real estate agent told me, in the middle of Lafayette, where you would think it's a relatively safe area. We talk about south of Highway 14, how expensive it is as well. But in the Broadmoor area in Lafayette, there's people with a modest home, $300,000, $400,000 home, maybe less. They're getting insurance rates of $5,000 to $6,000 a year in the middle of Lafayette. That's $500, $500 a month. No one can pay that and pay their mortgage on top of it. And so I think we have to have competition. We have to work on tort reform. Have to work on these lawsuits that are that on the auto side, these frivolous lawsuits. And we have to incentivize these insurance agencies and these insurance companies to come to Louisiana and to write these policies. Florida's dealing with the same thing, and so it's not just us, it is Florida as well. But Texas has natural disasters, and they have better insurance rates than we do. So I think we also need to look at other states, see what other states are doing, and implement some of those programs. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can get advice from other places, and we can get everyone together, and that's really what I would want to do on this is get experts in a room together, and let's sit down and let's work together and formulate a plan.
Thank you. Mr. Landry?
Yes, insurance has become a burdensome issue, I know, for everyone in the room. Being in business with my family, we get we get served with lawsuits pretty regular, and I think that a lot of that has to do with, cutting out tort reform would stop it, or bringing tort reform would actually stop the issues of higher insurance on the businesses. Not only that, on the homeowners, living in a coastal community, like I said before, I think the ultimate goal is to fortify our homes, make sure that we are at a flood elevation that allow us to come back to our homes without water in our houses. The whole thing of incentivizing the insurance companies, I don't know how quick that allow us to get the insurance down. I think it works. I think we need a competitive market to bring more in. But the main thing as someone that has lived on the coast all his life, I think we need to invest in our coastline. We need to make sure we have defense against these storms coming in. And I think if we invest in fortifying homes, invest in our coast, I think we're going to see our insurance costs come down when it comes to homeowners. And frivolous lawsuits when it comes to autos, I think we need to cut out the whole thing where people could sue for more than 40% of their injuries, where it just keeps you tied up in litigation and sucking money out of the insurance companies and out of our pockets to be able to insure ourselves is one thing that is basically taking food out of people's mouths and hard for them to pay for their homes.
Great, thank you.
Can I use my rebuttal card?
Mr. Boyer?
Yeah, I'd like to rebuttal myself. I didn't get shocked, but I wanted just to use the opportunity to confess that I didn't get shocked, and also we put $10 million into a fortified roof program to add to some of what they're saying. So for those homeowners who want to fortify roofs, there's going to be a tax credit that's going to be available, or that is available. I'm not sure if they came out with the rules to help fortify your roofs, and there's a mandate that you do get a discount on your homeowner's insurance. So just wanted to add that as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you. The next question, we'll start with Mr. DeReese. What are some things you think we need to focus on to improve education here in Louisiana?
I kind of said it. I said it already. I think at the end of the day, we are totally handcuffing our teachers. We need to let them teach. I think at the end of the day right now, our teachers are go to work, and number one, they're underpaid. I think I'll be the guy that goes to Baton Rouge and definitely fight for them for a raise. Second off, we need to take their handcuffs off. I think they go to the classrooms right now and they're so worried about lawsuits and what they have to do with each student, and just let them teach. And we need to figure out a curriculum that we're going to stick with. We've changed over the last couple of years, and they're boxed in and they can't do what they need to do. And we need to support our teachers. On the other front, David talked about ESAs and vouchers. I'm 100% behind vouchers as well too. I really think it's a good idea to let each family pick where they want their kids to go to school. My only concern with it is everybody starts homeschooling, and where does that money go? It has to have some structure to it, but I'm definitely open to voucher system as well.
Thank you. Mr. Eaton?
So I think one of the ways that we fix anything is competition. And so how we initially start the conversation with education is a school voucher program, because we pay into the system, we pay, and our money, we should be able to choose where our kids go to school. And if we don't like the public school that our kids go to, we can choose another public school, we can choose a private school, or we can homeschool. I choose to homeschool my kids. I wouldn't even take the money that I would get from a voucher program, because I just wouldn't want it. But that's not to say that others wouldn't. But I believe that we pay into it, and that we should be allowed to get the money that we pay into for our schools, especially if it's a failing school, if it's a school that we don't like. And as parents, we have to have the final authority. I think one of the problems that's happening in schools is that schools have kind of cut parents out of the deal, and parents feel like they're left out. One of my friends in Lafayette, her kid goes to a high school in Lafayette, and he came home and he said, "Mom, I saw this in my curriculum." And so she called the school and she said, "Hey, can I come look at the textbook that my son has?" And they said, "No, you can't look at the textbook that your son has." And she said, "Well, can I come to school and see the textbook in front of a teacher or whatever?" And they said, "No, we don't allow parents to see what their kids are being taught." And to me, that is unacceptable and unforgivable, and that has to be changed in the school system. The school system is something that the parents should be able to control. Teaching our kids to read and to write and to do arithmetic, science, and history is very important. And we have to get back to the basics in our school systems. We have to get back to where our kids are taught. Our kids learn how to read. I'm an assistant pastor, and in my youth group, a lot of teenagers, I quit asking them to read because they can barely read, and they're embarrassed when they stand up. And it's a shame that high school students can barely read. And our school system is failing. And how do we fix it? We start off with competition. School vouchers lead to competition, and it starts there. And look, I understand teachers are trying their best. It's nothing against teachers. It's nothing against principals. You're trying your best, but we have a lot of things that we have to do in our school system.
Thank you. Mr. Landry?
Yeah, on on our school systems, it's an uphill battle. We having a lot more teachers that are coming in the profession and leaving after 2 years. We have to figure out how to incentivize them. We have to figure out how, without raising taxes, get teachers the money they need to do the job that we're asking them to do. You know, we need to get back to reading, writing, and teaching math. We need to get back to giving kids the tools to think for themselves, to think how to problem solve. You know, I look at a school system almost as a business. We need to hold certain people accountable if you have a failing school to say, hey, listen, you have to get your business in order. We'll give you this much more to get it straight, but we can't just keep throwing money at bad leadership and bad methods. So coming from the public school system and coming from a school system where I was fortunate, because coming from the community I was in, all my mother's friends came back and taught. Their kids have come back and taught. But I think if we form a culture where teaching is not so much a bad thing anymore, but get back to where teachers can actually relate to the students and teach and do their jobs instead of having to do all these other things that don't pertain to what truly our children need when they leave school.
Thank you. Last but not least, Mr. Bollier.
Yes, ma'am. I believe parents know what's best for their children, and I think teachers know what's best for their students. And when we try to micromanage the classrooms, it hasn't worked. We instituted some things long before I got in the legislature, and we haven't seen much progress. We've seen some progress in our school systems. And this isn't about Iberia Parish, this is about the whole state of Louisiana. And I think giving parents more flexibility of whether they can send their child to a passing school versus a failing school is important. I think it's very important. I think teachers being given the ability to come up with the best practices in the classroom and then take those best practices and track them and score them on their own and be able to develop those curriculums throughout the state. Let's listen to our teachers. They're the ones in the classroom. Like, I'm married to a teacher, and I'm not telling her how to run a classroom. It's just that easy. I've never taught in a classroom setting, and I respect those people that show up every day and do that. And we have to give them control of their classrooms. They are, what was said a little while ago about teachers being fearful, even sometimes to show up for work, teaching elementary school kids and being worried about being hit and beat on and feared for themselves. The other thing is in our high school systems, I think we've done a good job, I think we're on the right path, but develop more curriculums that have high school students ready for the workforce upon graduation. Working with your VOTEC schools and your community college students, these schools, and having curriculums in the high schools that have them ready to be viable employees for the workforce upon graduation. Talk to Acadian Ambulance. They're training kids in high schools all over the country so they can have students or have high school kids coming out making $40,000 and $50,000 working on an ambulance. We have to do more programs like that and continue to work in that direction.
Thank you. For question number 6, Mr. Eaton, we'll start with you. We continue to lose some of our youngest and brightest people to other states. What do you think we need to do to keep people from moving out of our state?
It's jobs and businesses. That's what we need. We need jobs and businesses. We need the oil field back here. We need to have an economy and a place in Louisiana that businesses can come and succeed. A place where businesses aren't scared to get litigious lawsuits, to get lawsuits that tie them up in court. A place where they can come and they have a great tax system, low regulations, great infrastructure. A place where businesses can come and they can succeed. A place where businesses can grow and thrive. And when we do that, what happens? Then we have jobs. Then we have good paying jobs. Then we have people that are successful. We have money in our economy. And it brings taxes into the government. And it allows us, without raising taxes, to up our budgets, to get more capital into Baton Rouge without raising any taxes. Matter of fact, we lower taxes and we get more money. It's been proven. It's always happened, and it's the free economic system. If we lower regulation, lower taxes, businesses will come in, jobs will be here, people will come, people will stop to leave, and Louisiana's economy will thrive. Because look, Louisiana, we just want a place. Louisianians, we just want a place where we can succeed and grow. We're ready to work. We love to work. And our people are passionate, and our people are workers. I say it all the time. You can look after a hurricane, and we're cleaning up before the hurricane's even over. I mean, I got crazy neighbors that are out there in the middle of the wind picking up branches, you know. And so it's Louisiana, we're ready to work. We're ready to go. Our government has to get out of our way. Less regulation, less licensing, less taxes, better infrastructure. And what's going to happen, businesses will come here, businesses will grow and succeed, and we'll have jobs, and so our kids and grandkids don't leave. That's why I got involved, because I want a place where my kids can grow up. I want a place here in Louisiana where we're safe, where we're not worried about flooding, where we're not worried about all of the things that happen. A place that's safe, and a place that's good, and a place that has a great economy and that can help and give businesses a place to succeed.
Thank you. Mr. Landry?
You know, that's a good question. You know, born and raised in this area, I've had every opportunity to be successful. I've had every opportunity to live the basically American dream. You know, we got to give back quality of life and focus on quality of life in our state. A lot of things about lowering taxes, bringing businesses, growing our economy, all that's very easy said, but I think it's going to take a whole state approach to make sure that we make the right decisions as lawmakers to be able to bring commerce, but also aid and assist our local businesses to strive and cater to them, where infrastructure will help. But on top of all that, we as Louisiana need to focus in these young, bright children and start early on. The conversation needs to be have early on in their lives. We need to let our children know that there are opportunities out there. We need to make sure that we're setting them up for success, for them to build their careers, for them to have the same opportunities that we have. And I think it's going to take a lot of hard work, but I think as Louisianians, we're resilient, and we can make those things happen. And the things that as legislators we need to do is make sure that we're passing the laws or changing the laws where it makes it easier to grow our economy so that those jobs are abundant for the kids that we are giving proper training to accept those jobs.
Thank you. Mr. Boyer?
I think we have to be bold. You know, you hear the story about eating the elephant one bite at a time, and we've been doing that. We have to take bigger bites. We can't be scared to take bigger leaps. When you look at those states that are surviving or thriving and leading the country in population growth, they're some of the most business tax-friendly states in the country. And look, I know being business tax-friendly isn't sexy, but it works, and it attracts business to your state. Louisiana, with the tax reform package we passed a couple of years ago, finally got out of the bottom 10, but we're still ranked 39th. We have a lot of work to do, and the only way we're going to do that is if we make bold changes in the way we operate our state government. And I'm hoping that the voters will have the faith in me to send me back to continue making strides and make bold changes for the state of Louisiana.
Mr. DeReese?
Guys, I'm a salesman in all field, and I travel to Houston a good bit and normally stay during the week. And I can tell you, I don't want to be there. I want to be in Louisiana. My feet are here, but I see the people leaving. All field the last 12 years have just killed us. Our jobs with these frivolous lawsuits that our governor imposed on South Louisiana, once again, it just killed our economy. So people had to flee. They had to go to Texas. They had to go to Oklahoma. They had to go to North Dakota to find other work. Like I said earlier, I really believe with a new government change and being more friendly to oil and gas, the backbone of Louisiana, I think it'll definitely help our economy and bring back people and stop the flight of people to other places. Second, taxes, as Bo said. We've got to be friendly to these businesses that want to relocate here and move the business front forward, and just support our local economy and support those businesses that want to come in, cut the red tape, and let them operate on a day-to-day basis and give them everything they need. So.
Thank you. The last question, we'll start with you, Mr. Landry. What is an issue that has not been raised or an issue you think needs more time to discuss?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the issue is quality of life. I think that as Louisianians, as people of a Cajun country, I think that's our strongest quality. And I think that that's under attack sometimes because here we are, and I'm going to go back to being in a coastal community or coastal parishes. If it wasn't for the resilience and the fight of the people here, we would be forgotten. We need to make sure we protect and preserve how we were raised, how we grew up, and what's our history and our heritage. And I think all the things we said tonight, a lot of that has to do that with lowering taxes, protecting oil and gas, making sure our children are safe, making sure our children are have the proper schooling and they're prepared to handle the jobs that are already here. But we're missing sometimes that we're not even preparing them to accept the jobs that are here. So as legislators or as community leaders or parents or anything, we need to focus on how do we get where we are today. And I think quality of life is something that we need to focus on, because we all here in this room tonight because we believe in where we live. We believe in how we live. And we're here fighting to continue living the way we live. And I'll join hand, shoulders, side by side, and I'll continue fighting for that, because we could put a lot of things out in front, but until you recognize on why our communities have strived and where they at today is because of our quality of life and because we believe in it and we'll fight for it day in and day out.
Thank you. Mr. Boyer, is there an issue that hasn't been raised or you think needs more?
One that hadn't been raised, but was two of them. I have one that hadn't been raised partially because it's been solved, but you no longer have to check in and out of Marsh Island or Rockefeller Refuge anymore. We passed a law, so now you can go in there and the government is not watching you throw your cast net and catch your crabs. That would have been brought up if we hadn't fixed that this last session. Probably the biggest thing that hasn't been brought up is crime. We have an epidemic of crime throughout the state and throughout the country, with the drug use, but also with certain jurisdictions not enforcing crime, not prosecuting it. We're not having that issue in the 16th district, but there are other districts, judicial districts around the state that frankly are just not safe, and people are not going. And some of those districts are high tourist areas that we may all refer to as the Big Easy. The tourist traveling there is at your own risk at this point, and we've got to get a hand on it. They're not the only one, and so crime to me is probably the biggest issue that wasn't brought up, and is going to have to be addressed over the next couple of years.
Thank you, Mr. DeReese.
He would have to steal mine. But guys, listen, I come from EMS background. I was a paramedic for 7 years. One thing that we didn't discuss is crime, of course. I guess we did now with Bo, but we rank last in fireman's pay. I think we're like 38th in police pay. We've got to do better. The people taking care of the people that protect us, our policemen, our EMS, our first responders. I come from that background, and it really sits at home with me. I can remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but about a year ago there was a deputy who killed 2 kids in Bruley, Louisiana, and the cop was responding to a call and killed 2 high school kids. One thing that's near and dear to me, one of my bills that I would really like to write as a state rep, is that every first responder, every policeman has some type of formal driving It was near and dear to my heart. I've witnessed that one. I've witnessed several as I was a medic on the streets. So I think it's something that we kind of look over it if you're not in that world, but EMS and volunteer firemen need more training on driving. I see it every day. I see it in our local roads. Just the other day crossing 182, I saw a fire truck doing 45 miles an hour, ran through a red light, and if somebody wasn't coming, they could have definitely killed someone. So it's a bill, I think, just to help everyone, help first responders be safe in our community.
Thank you, Mr. Eaton.
So I have three things. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I think crime is a big one that we haven't talked about, and we have to work on crime. We have to make our community safe. Businesses want to come here, and they won't come here if they're going to get robbed or if they feel like their employees are going to get are going to be unsafe with crime in our area. So we have to work on crime. Also, I think we need vocational training. We've talked a little bit about it. Several have mentioned it, but I think vocational training in high school is of utmost important. And I'm encouraged to see some high schools doing it again. I saw some welding, I saw some different things, but bringing back wood shop, bringing back those types of things, industrial engine design or something like that. I forgot what it was called, but my dad said they used to design the paddles, and so they would design the paddles for the school. And so bringing back those types of things to where our kids get hands-on training and get some hands-on vocational training and teach them that, look, it's not always you have to go to college for everything. There's careers that are better and that you can make great money at and have a great living. And we have to get back the decency of hard work, the decency of earning a living every day. And it's great and it's fine. And not everybody has to be a lawyer or an attorney or a doctor. We can be a plumber, we can be an electrician, we can be an AC guy or insulation. Those things are honest and they're great and there's honor in them. And we have to teach our kids that and we have to get back to that. So I think vocational training is huge. And also the last thing, I think we need a comprehensive drainage plan. On the Bayou Vermilion District, working on the Vermilion River, I know firsthand that we need a comprehensive drainage plan. Look, our drainage plan goes all the way up to Alexandria, it goes to Chaffalot River, it goes all the way west, I believe, to Mermentau River, I believe it does. And all this water is flowing down on everybody. But we all have to work together to make a plan for what we're going to do. Get the water out, keep our coastline safe, keep our coastline from eroding, but make a plan and come together and say, look, this is our 20-year plan. This is what we're going to do to get the water out. This is what we're going to do to save our coastlines. This is what we're going to do. And have a plan in place, because if you fail to plan, you'll plan to fail. That's the old saying.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. That's the end of the questions. We'll now start with your closing statements. I almost said arguments, but closing statements. We'll begin with Mr. Landry, and we'll go to your right. So, Mr. Landry.
Yeah, I want to thank the Chamber again for putting this on. Ms. Stephanie, I want to thank you for being so pleasant with the questions and how you're presenting them. But, you know, we've said a lot of things up here. We had a lot of talking points. As someone that has asked my family to allow me to do this job full-time, I feel it's going to take a full-time effort to make the changes that we've all talked about up here. I don't think it's going to be a part-time job. I think at the point where we at in a state and the issues at hand, it's going to take someone that can dedicate 100% of their time to do it. And that way we can build relationships, build coalitions with other legislators, even look at what other states are doing. Even take the time to go to Washington and see what we can get their assistance, not only on crime, coastal protection, and other issues. But I'm Jacob Lander. I'm running for District 49 State Rep, and I look forward to your support October 14th. Thank you.
Mr. Eaton.
So closing out, I would like to say that it's not about me, it's about us. The reason I'm running is not for me to be a state representative, or for me to be anything fancy or to go to any parties. I'm running because I truly want a better Louisiana, and I truly want a better District 49. And it's going to take all of us working hard together to make that happen. I have to know what your concerns are. I have to know what ideas you have. I don't have ideas for everything. I'm not the magician that can wave the wand and figure out every problem. But we all together can. And all together, working together, we will make our Louisiana better. Because we're passionate about Louisiana. You're here tonight, giving up your time tonight to come and to listen because you're passionate about Louisiana. And I'm passionate about Louisiana, that's why I'm running. We have to make Louisiana a better place. It's about all of us. And it's about coming together, working together, and making Louisiana a better place together for our families and for each other, and giving our time and giving of each other to make it a better place. I'm David Eaton, and I'm running for state representative. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Deries.
Guys, at the end of the day, I'm the guy that lives next door, that puts his boots on every day and goes to work. I'm an all-field worker. I'm not a rich business owner. I'm the guy next door that works every day and that wants to go to work for you in Baton Rouge. I want to support our all-field. That's where I cut my teeth. That's where I get my money. I want to support those guys 100%. Infrastructure, like I said, I want to make sure our roads are secure and paved and smooth roads for us to travel on. And of course, our teachers, make sure that they're taken care of. At the end of the day, I want to be your state rep and go to Baton Rouge and fight for you and fight for what's right for District 49. I want to be accessible. My phone number is on my website, sandydearies.com. I humbly ask for your support on October 14th, and appreciate you, and thank y'all for coming tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Beaulieu.
4 years ago, I sat here and I told a story about a first baseman that I had on a baseball team that we coached. And they had just moved the family to West Texas for greener pastures and oil field. His name is Big Z. Big Z is really Big Z now. I follow him on Facebook. But his family is still in West Texas, a family of 5, a school teacher, mother, all field working father. And I'm not going to stop working for y'all until Big Z and hundreds of thousands of other Louisianians who have left Louisiana have an opportunity to come home. So I'm up here asking you humbly for your support, humbly for your vote. Let me return to the Capitol to do your work. We're just getting started.
Thank you, gentlemen. This concludes tonight's forum for Louisiana House of Representatives Districts 48 and 49. The next forum will begin at 7:30 p.m. for Louisiana State Senate Districts 21 and 22. We certainly appreciate the time and effort put forth by the candidates here tonight. How about a big round of applause for them? Again, we wish all the candidates well and want to encourage all registered voters to exercise your right to vote in this upcoming election. This concludes this portion of our program. Thank you.